So you say you want some new weapons in Kansas City, huh? You say you want to spread the ball around. Well, how exactly do you plan on doing that? That and a lot of other questions still have to be answered as they go through the offseason in Kansas City, get the Chiefs ready for their next look at the next postseason. What the end trail is, that more from that on from Dan here in a day or two. But let's get into tonight with all your questions answered here on RGR Football. Welcome back, everybody. It's RGR Football on a Monday night. That means your questions answered by myself, Ryan Tracy, and Dan Harms, the one and only. How are you, Dan?
I'm doing much better after last week. I appreciate all of you that reached out on Twitter and asked how I was doing, actually offered me some suggestions. We finally got the medication right on my end with the doctors that I have here. And even though it's a horse pill tranquilizer now that I am currently taking for my allergies, as long as it works, I'm here for it. So again, thank you so much. I feel great now.
Well, you look better, you sound better, so I'm glad you feel better. Otherwise,
Yeah, right?
It was just all a facade.
Not
anyway.
worth it.
Well, it's funny. That's the way things kind of go. Folks, give it up for Liz Morrow, our fearless moderator, at least one half of the moderation family in here tonight. So thank you, Liz, as always, taking over for Aaron. We got a lot coming for you. A couple of quick hitters. I did one today on Orlando Brown and his situation, and really what I read from that I think is important for him and for the team. Make sure you go back and check that out. It's just a quick hitter, like 5-minute guy. I have one coming up here either tomorrow. I haven't put it up yet. Tomorrow or Wednesday on Jody Fortson. You don't want to miss that. Dan's got probably the key to this season coming, and you certainly don't want to miss that tomorrow afternoon. And then film review. Who's the film review this week, Dan?
We got Brian Cook. This is my last draft prospect for Kansas City this year. What we're doing. We're not going to do any more. Brian Cook is the last one, and then we're going to get into some hard-hitting Chiefs film. But this, speaking of hard-hitting, Brian Cook, your guy. You're going to want to see that on Wednesday.
He knows how. I'm excited to see if you found all the things that I found when I was doing the draft stuff, because I didn't make enough recordings of it to put like a film together. Yeah. I should have at the time. Hindsight is always better, folks. I'll do that better next year. He is fun. I'm looking forward to it. Tonight, if you are new to RGR, this is what we do on Monday nights. We're live. We answer your questions. We try to get you all the answers. Every super chatter gets an answer. I know that you guys support the channel that way. It is pretty easy to do it that way. You can also go get some gear at the store. That always helps. You can subscribe over at NFL33.com. That's what Dan and I are doing now for non-Chief stuff, league-wide stuff, where the NFL is going kind of stuff.
Yeah.
We have some interesting things coming that way as well. And you can always find me on Locked On Chiefs and Locked On NFL Draft, because, it's always draft season. It never goes away. For the Chiefs, making the most of this draft season includes Sky Moore, who is one of the guys that I put on the cover. And don't read into it, guys. Juju's not on the thumbnail today because I didn't have a good shot at Juju. That's all. That's all that means. I couldn't find a good one that I liked. So that's really the big takeaway for me is we've been talking about it. And I started talking about it before the draft. When MVS got on board and you had multiple different types of receivers and what that was going to mean for the offense, Patrick came out and confirmed everything that we thought last week, saying, they got to spread it around. But Dan, when you take a look at the core responsibilities for each of these receiver types, in the basketball team, whatever, what do you see?
Yeah, I was actually just on radio today with Sterling Holmes on ESPN Kansas City talking about this specific question. We were just talking about how this is going to help Patrick Mahomes. In my honest opinion, this is going to be, he's been forced by I guess you could say, fault of anybody else's. You have two elite players on the team, which Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. He's been forced to throw the ball into, feed these guys, make the offense run through them, period. End of story. That's what they did for the last 3 years. Things are very different now. The whole wide receiver crew is different. Yes, you still have McColl, but you have three guys, Juju Smith-Schuster, MVS, and Sky Moore, that are going to be very big parts of your offense this year. You bring in a new running back who's not going to really impact the pass catching at all, because that's not what he does. But the skill set that you have four guys in MVS, McCole Hardman, Juju Smith-Schuster, and Sky Moore that all do something different. They're all different players. I think MVS is going to be just pure basic deep threat guy. That's what he is. bring you some blocking on the outside every now and then. McColl can do that, but he's also a quick hitter. You can get him the ball in space, let him work. Then I think we're going to see him take on a little bit more of those deep intermediate over routes this year too. Like we saw him in his rookie season. He was doing those relatively well. Something happened and they got some issues. Something cross-threaded. Something happened there. Then you have Juju, who's at this point in his career strictly an underneath to intermediate player. Maybe he can recapture some of his former athletic ability. I don't have a clue if that's going to happen. Coming off of an injury, of a guy who was already going downhill, you don't really know. We just have to project. And then you have Sky Moore, the young, the flashy new toy who has some deep speed, who has the tough run through the catch. He's got the biggest hands on the team, and he's going to be able to catch the ball anywhere you get him the ball, like in any way, shape, or form. So this is going to be a lot of fun to see how it plays out. I truly think it's going to benefit Patrick to adapt the offense to multiple different skill sets and to distribute the ball evenly among everybody, because that's really going to be the best way for him to grow, read defenses, and make the offense the most simplistic and really the best that it can be.
I like the way that you put that, and I want to take everybody behind the curtain a little bit, because you said something that struck me funny at the time. Yeah. You have to have a mechanical background if you're going to throw out the term cross-threaded, folks. Dan, I don't know if everybody knows your background, but do you want to share that and how you got to that one?
Yes. So I am a former jet engine mechanic in the Air Force. I worked on specifically jet engines like the F-16 and things like that. So as we all know, if you don't know, when you're screwing something in and then it's a little off center, that's when you start to cross thread, and that's when it just starts to really just eat the entire thread up on the screw. And the reason I said that with Juju is because over the last couple of years, he's been kind of eroding, and his body has been breaking down a little bit. So that's where that comes from.
All right, that hit me great. Well, I agree with your assessment. It's about finding the tool. I hope that a couple of guys can be challenged by not only Patrick Mahomes, but by Andy in putting route combinations together that stretch what they've done before. I hope that MVS is more than a deep threat. I think the deep over kind of thing, and I think some of the underneath, like in-breaking routes, can be something he can take advantage of, because I think he is going to get guys that want to be physical with him, that want to try and beat him that way. Mm-hmm. And I think he's got enough to separate off of that could be some big plays. So like I take the role, and now it's like, okay, how can Patrick push him in one direction or the other and expand everybody's game? Because everybody's got a slot in my mind, but if everybody kind of expands a little bit,
and if Patrick
the bridge gets bigger,
elevate these players too. Like can they elevate Patrick? Can he elevate them? That's the biggest question that we're going to have to answer this year too.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Evening to Stevie Keys. Glad you're here,
What's
folks.
up, Stevie?
Stevie's one of our contributors and one of our first members ever. Been here since the dawn of time, or at least that's what it feels like, right, Steve? You can check him out. Roguehead Huddle have an episode for you coming this Friday. It's already in the can, and I love it. So watch out for that, you guys. And Gooch and Aaron are with him as well, and you can find those guys on their own channel doing things a little bit more bombastic, shall we say? I don't know. Over on Back Talk Bros. Check them out. Check out Big Chief Sean on his channel, as well as a contributor here. And a lot of new stuff that we're kind of tweaking, toying with, playing around as we move forward. If you're new to this channel, you got to put question marks before your question in the chat, or I'm never going to see them. I'm just terrible at it, Dan, I'll tell you. And if you are new, make sure you like this video, make sure you sub to the channel, and make sure you go click that bell so you know what comes next. Because most of the time we're on a schedule. You're going to get lives from us on Sunday night, Monday night, and Thursday night. The rest of it's all kind of mostly sorted around the same time, not always the same. So it always helps to have those on. And thank you, because Liz reminded me, if you want to go get the channel, the new one from Back Talk Bros, go click it over there. It's in the chat as well. Big Chief Sean is in the house. Look, everybody's coming together. I like it when everybody shows up. That's pretty cool. Okay. So that said, with the question marks in and the whole 9 yards and format and whatnot, let's get into it. Liz had one.
Yes.
Glad we covered that.
Appreciate it. It's pretty obvious. It's night and day difference, honestly. Like
he didn't look like a vampire, but it was close.
It was close. It was pretty bad.
Me and my family just finished Stranger Things 4 last night, and we were like, "Oh, hey, look, Dan's in here. What happened?"
Yeah, they got me last week. I was all made up for the show on Monday.
I like it. DD, how are you? Chris Jones last year on the Chiefs with the new 80-99 contract. I don't think so. No. He's under contract? What, for 2 more seasons, isn't he?
I think so. I think 2 years is what's left on his contract. I don't have it pulled up in front of me.
I'm trying to get that right now, but
Okay.
it would take, I think, a pretty serious divorce. I mean, unless there's a complete drop in production from Chris because he doesn't have enough support around him, I don't see any way that he's not on this roster. Do you?
No, it comes down to much like the Tyreek Hill situation. They wanted a contract extension. Maybe with the way this comes down, you have to, much like the Patrick Mahomes contract, you have to try to extrapolate what you can from it, but you can't do a 1-for-1 comparison because it's not possible. No player is going to get what Aaron Donald just got because Aaron Donald is a once in a lifetime kind of player, period. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Chris Jones is an elite defensive tackle. He is not anywhere close. He's not close to Aaron Donald. And that's not anything bad against Chris Jones. It's nothing bad against him. It's just that there's that much separating the most elite player on defense in the NFL and Chris Jones. That's just what it is. So
I would put it this way. I think Derek Thomas and Lawrence Taylor are closer than Chris Jones and Aaron Donald are.
More once-in-lifetime type players. Like,
right.
They don't come around very often.
That's the caliber that we're talking about. And I would, for one, I was like, oh, please, Aaron, just go retire. Just go retire. Let Chris be the top. Well, yeah, because I think Chris plays up to his own expectations. I think that's something that fuels him. And I think a little bit more pressure from the outside might fuel him more. I dig that. I did pull it up. He's under contract this season. Roster bonus is 18. Next year, he's 19.5 against the cap. So, yes, an extension is in the future. I don't think it's going to be outlandish unless, I mean, what would it take for Chris to price himself out of Kansas City for you?
20 sack season. And then he gets let's say this year he gets 20 sacks. Okay. He's going to want a contract extension. He's going to want more money because when you get that elite level season, you want to profit from it. That will price him out of Kansas City.
And they are very hard to replicate from the defensive interior in particular.
Very, very much.
All over. It's hard. Defense is so much more year to year up and down roller coaster. It's difficult. You got to get yours when you can get yours. And if he has a season like that, I mean, I'll be pitching in, Brett. I'll give you my $5 to go give Chris. But I don't know if it's going to be enough, buddy. It's going to be tough. Oof, man. But I don't think the contract for Aaron Donald makes that happen. No. It's just the going rate. Yep. And if he were to have even if he has 16 sacks, he's put himself as the only person in the echelon just below Aaron Donald.
Correct.
That gets him paid too. Take this one. I'm going to stack some pictures or questions here.
Thanks, Alyssa. Could you go through the depth chart and predict the final roster? So personally, I think we're going to probably do some videos on that as as training camp gets closer. So right now probably isn't the best format to go through the entire depth chart and give you my 53-man roster predictions. But I do think that as we get closer, we go through some of training camp. We kind of see players in OTAs. We kind of see how the Chiefs line guys up, who they think they're going to be their depth guys that come in relief on some of their starters. We'll have a much better idea. Right now, the task is far too long. There's more players that are going to be on the roster the first day of like training camp and OTAs that it's an entire cluster right now of players that have to get in OTAs to get reps and get showing in the special teams area to really narrow down a final roster.
Yeah, it's tough. I did a first walkthrough. Right. Yeah, we definitely will. I mean, honestly, we'll probably have multiple shows on. Alyssa, I did a quick walkthrough a couple weeks ago. That was just an early look. I will tell you this. There's not that many spots up for grabs.
Correct.
You've seen the high draft picks. The top 5 draft picks will be on this roster pretty much no matter what.
Yep.
We've kind of highlighted the wide receiver competition. We've kind of highlighted the DB competition. That's where the questions are. Until they add to the defensive line, and I do think they are actively looking. I just don't know if it's going to come to fruition. Until they add to that, it's going to be pretty consistent right now. But an injury tomorrow could change things. So I will try to go through as we go through here in the next couple of weeks, piece by piece, position by position. We'll try to fill that in for you. And Liz, thank you for saying this because I always forget to tell people this. We're going to talk about your topics. if you ask a question, so did like 6 other people, I'm generally going to pick one, probably the person that I've answered the longest time ago, to try to keep it fresh and not always answer the same people's questions. But we're going to cover the topic for you. So don't be offended. It just means that there are other folks maybe ahead of you in the queue or something that asked the same similar question or the same topic. So that's all. Don't take it personal. Napoleon, should the Chiefs be concerned about the running back abilities and pass protection? It is not a strength of CH or Rojo, and Daryl's in Arizona. Yeah, happy for Daryl.
Yep.
I knew he'd get picked up, but it went longer than I thought. The question's going to give an opportunity, right, for Gore, for Pacheco. I mean, I don't see Ely as pass blocker. If he's in the game, he should be in a route. I don't think he's going to be in that role, but that's, I think, the key thing. I think CEH is willing, and I think Rojo is willing. It's does this change? Does this staff, can it help them actually become better blockers? If not, then they're in trouble, and it's going to be 5 routes all the time, right?
Yeah, they might even be leaning that way considering the offensive line construction. They might feel that comfortable that they're like, okay, we can kind of get by. I think the Clyde showed improvement last year, even though he wasn't the most impressive runner because of coming off of him losing a ton of weight and having to get back to fully healthy. There's that problem too. But he always shows the willingness to want to pass block and pass protect. And I think that he understands what he needs to do. Sometimes his technique is a little behind him. Rojo has had multiple opportunities to pass block. He has the frame.
Yeah.
I don't think he's a willing participant in that department. I'm not sure that he's going to become a willing participant in pass protection. Or he's just the worst technical dude I've ever seen. But he can't catch the ball. He can't pass protect. There's problems with him on third downs. So there's also not much investment.
I thought I saw his attitude change once Fournette was getting all the touches. I thought I saw him try harder at least. I guess that's not willing. Maybe that's just panic.
Yeah, I was about to say that sounds more like, oh, I'm losing my job. Like I need to start trying a little bit harder. So I'm not super optimistic about him on third downs. To me, it leans that they feel pretty at least comfortable that Clyde's getting better in that department, and this could be a year that they finally maybe think that he's ready to take on that job. We'll see. We shall see.
I'm with you. I like it. Thank you, Napoleon. Zach, who are the best any UDFAs, new or old, have best chance to make the roster? The best chance I think is Mike Rose, pretty much hands down. Beyond that, it's probably Boodle in my opinion. What do you think, Dan?
I think Zane Anderson as well has a chance, depending on some of the safety stuff that they could go through. I think Boo's going to have a chance. We know Ross is going to have a chance. I think Ely will have an outside shot to make the roster as well as a pass catching guy if things don't work out with anybody else that they have. So those are the guys that I'm looking at right now as possible. They have at least have a chance to make the roster as UDFAs.
Okay, cool. Sam, thank you. Right now, you have to pick a side. No maybes. Okay. Does Orlando get a deal done? P.S. Love your guys' vids. Thank you. And glad you're better, Dan.
Thank you, Sam. Appreciate you.
So just gut feeling. Do they get it done by July 15th? Yeah?
Yes, I do. I think they will.
I agree. I think they have to if they know what's good for them. And I think everybody knows what's good for them. So it is what it is. Thank you, Sam. Tex, more run balance heavy this year with the new look roster or no? I so want to say yes.
We always want to say yes.
But in Andy's, if you get 36% run calls out of Andy Reid, you're heavy.
Yeah.
I would love that. A third of runs, I think that's good. I think the key is, again, to Andy calling runs, not calling RPOs where Patrick gets to decide because Patrick's going to go for it.
It's the biggest thing. If they take out the 2,000 RPOs they call the season, things are going to look better. True play action pass, true under center play action pass. You have to start doing it more often. You have the offensive line to do it. They can block. Let the play action unfold. You have to. In my opinion, if they don't do it this year, they're never going to, and it's going to be a huge detriment to their offense. That's just hands down. That's a detriment. So, yes, I think they're going to slightly, when we say say this is their normal 36% rate. We're talking about 36.3. We're talking about taking that clock hand and kind of ticking it over just a little bit because I think that they have to force these defenses out of what they're looking at. They're changing the offense a little bit. I think you might see more runs early in the season just to try to move some of that.
Yeah, I'm with you. What do you think of Pat's stats this year?
I think Patrick is going to just go nuclear. I think he's going to do exactly what he was doing in the Buffalo game and the first half of the Bengals game, and he's going to light defenses up. I think that's what they're setting him up to do. We're talking about a season close to his rookie first year starting. I think he's going to have close to 5,000 yards, 50 touchdown-ish type of year. That's what I think he's going to have.
I'm going with the sevens. 4,700 yards, 37 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. I'd like to see more touchdowns, but I think they're going to have to get on the ground a little bit more because I think they're going to have to force a lot of teams out of that 3D. And I think eventually they'll get it done, but I think it's going to be slow myself. John, thank you. And thank you, Lisa. Does Andy stop receivers from being able to do all the spots and just focus on what they're good at? He never has in the past, John. He trains everybody to be 3 position receivers. If you have a particular rookie UDFA who really is overwhelmed with the playbook, you might just give him one. You might just let him line up at X and call it good because of what he's shown you.
I think that Andy has to this year, to be honest with you. They don't have all-around receivers. They have a couple of them, maybe at the most. But they have guys that they've, at least with McCole Hardman, they've figured out his strengths. We know at this point what Juju Smith-Schuster is and what MVS is. And I don't think he can force them, at least I think it'll be a detriment to the offense if he forces them to be things that they're not. If you give MVS a Tyreek Hill type, here, catch this ball and go get 10 yards, not happening. Yeah. It's not happening. So we'll see.
Okay. That's what Sky's for. Juju, maybe. We'll see. Adam, what do you think of Aaron Donald's deal with future contracts? Normally I would say that raise the roof, but quite frankly, nobody can match what Aaron Donald does. So like I think there is, while it's high, and I think it pulls everybody up a little bit, I don't think you can say, hey, I deserve 90% of Aaron Donald money. No, you don't. Nobody does. So I don't know. What do you got, Dan?
Like I kind of talked about it a little bit earlier with Chris Jones. Like his contract is not going to be what you should expect as a player, in my opinion. Like Mahomes, you're not going to get a 10-year, $500 million contract. You're not going to get it. It's not happening. We've already seen it. Josh Allen isn't getting that. Yeah. Like no one is getting that kind of deal. No one's going to get this Aaron Donald deal. You shouldn't try to compare yourself to it because these guys are different. It's plain and simple. So it might impact the AAV, the average annual value of these contracts, but it's not going to be the Aaron Donald contract. It's just not going to happen.
Fair enough. Thank you, Brian. Thoughts on how much the rookies will improve the red zone defense specifically? I think it's going to be a little rough early, but I think in particular, McDuffie and Cook are going to be guys that can occupy a space. You don't have to man up constantly. And I think they're going to be in position to either take the ball away or knock the snot out of somebody. So a completion isn't necessarily there. The question for me is, can they deter teams from running the ball inside the red zone? That's going to be the question for me.
That's what it is. Like if you can actually stop the run this year in a little bit better fashion, you're going to be better off. The secondary is always a better situation in the red zone for the Chiefs than running the football. Teams can just do whatever they want to. So don't get run over. Be physical. That's what they've clearly tried to get to, be a little more physical. So I think that they'll be a little bit better. Maybe towards the end of the season. I wouldn't expect early.
Yeah, I agree. And I have a theory on that too. That's coming. Kurt, thank you. If you had to pick right now, who are your top 6 receivers? My 5th and 6th are Ross and Watson. What do you got, Dan?
So we all know that the starting 4. The starting 4 is not going anywhere. It's going to be Juju, MVS, McCole, and Sky. Those are the 4 locked in. And I'm going to say, as of right now, until I physically see said person on the field, I can't have Justin Ross there. And that's not a knock against him. I need to visually see him at OTAs and training camp to see how he looks. I have no idea. This just because I saw him catch a one-handed pass at the sideline doesn't mean I can trust it yet. I'm going to say my 5 and 6 right now are Powell and Fountain.
Oh, you're just gonna double down, aren't you? Okay,
I'm gonna
good for
double
you.
down, guys.
All right,
I'm
all
taking
right,
it
fine.
and I'm running with it.
It's Gordon and Fountain is who it is right now until somebody takes it away from them. Dan is going to go down on that ship.
I will
And,
go down.
I just saw a comment. I just grabbed it.
I know
Stevie,
you did.
it was great. It's pinged now in the list. We got 40 questions to go. So like, I'm sorry, I buried it somewhere, but yes, like the moons have aligned, everyone. Daryl, Daryl, I'll get to yours as well, but yeah, Dan and Stevie agree that this is crazy. Hey, avionics on C-17s
What
out of
up?
Charleston. There you go.
Nice.
I
Love
like
it.
that. I like it when the things come together. All right. Daryl Sparks, thank you for the support. We appreciate you. I know we need a defensive end, but how do you guys feel about what we've done on defense so far? I think it was just a miscalculation on the defensive end thing and trusting Melvin Ingram.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't say they didn't go for it with Karlaftis. They believe in him.
Correct.
They said, Spags, who's your guy? We're taking your guy. They got their guy. Would I have taken another guy? Yeah, but that's me. You know, I would have taken somebody developmental beyond him because I want to get young at the position quickly, and it's not happening. But I will say this. It does mean that they have faith in Herring and Kando and Dana to come along.
It also might lean into the fact that they think Cullen can get more out of these guys than Brandon Daly could. We're going to have to wait and see on that. But for me, the defensive end position is a problem. We know that. I think everyone kind of understands that this defensive end situation is a bit tough. But what they've done on defense is get younger. They've gotten faster and they've gotten more physical. That's a great thing to have right now in a league that's constantly getting younger, getting better athletically. I don't know what happened to Ryan, but he's been stuck. Maybe he's not here anymore. Am I even here? No. Okay. So Ryan's power is currently out. So we're going to just kind of talk it out a little bit. He said he'll be back in a little. You guys enjoy the frozen face of there. And now he's gone. Now it's just me. But to really answer your question, Daryl, I do think that they've done a pretty decent job of addressing some of the defensive deficiencies that they've had over the course of the last couple of years. You know, Anthony Hitchens, slow. Every once in a while, he's not really the best processor, and it allows him to, or doesn't allow him to get to things downhill quickly. Dan Sorensen, physically not able to do it, like just not able to be there. So it's hard to really disagree with what he's done. I would have probably taken a little bit more depth shots at defensive end in the draft. Maybe a little bit here and there, but yeah, it's hard to know. All right, let's see if I can. Okay, so I'm just gonna have to hold the fort without Ryan here. So thank you for the question, Daryl. Let's see if I can come up here and find the next question. So I do apologize, everybody. Ryan is attempting to get his way back. Ooh, all right. I'm going to answer. I can't pull it up on the screen because I don't have any power to do that. Ryan's got that all on his end. But thank you for the question, Alyssa. Who is your favorite Stranger Things character? Mine is Max, but Hopper. Hopper, Nancy, and Steve are awesome. I'm Hopper all the way through, like through and through. He's my guy. I love him. I'm hoping that I haven't seen the 4th season yet. I'm going to probably start watching it next week, but I'm really excited to see that. Thank you, Clutch. Dan and Ryan, hope all is well. But my question is, do you think Orlando Brown Jr. will sign an extension soon? I think we both did kind of address that. It's we think it's going to happen before the July 15th deadline. Just letting Ryan, know that we're going through this. All right. How many blitzes do you think Chanel? Thank you, Super Devil Juice, for the question. How many blitzes do you think Chanel is going to have this year? I think he'll have a good number. It's hard to know the definitive yes or no on how many, like an actual number, but you're going to see him in a good amount of blitzes because speed, being able to rush the passer, all things that they need to be able to do. So I think you'll see a good number, probably closer to maybe 20, 25, maybe 30, depending on how many times he gets on the field. Thank you for the other question, Tex. I think we actually, honest question on their defensive draft this year. Did we answer that? I'm not sure. I'll just go ahead and answer it. Personally, I think that they did a pretty good job of addressing speed, power, effort at all three levels. I think that's a good thing to have. And much like I kind of said a little bit earlier about the secondary and things like that, the speed and the effort is something that they just desperately need. So again, thank you. Thanks, Arthur. Deepest defensive back room we have had in years. Do we keep 10 or 11 DBs this year? I don't know. The way that they've thrown bodies at it, it suggests they'll probably keep 10. At least they'll get their guys on the roster and trim it down to probably 5 and 5, maybe 4 and 6, depending on how they feel about safety. But I do think 5 and 5 makes a lot of sense. What up, Bartimus 66? Has there been anything from Sky? He's still nursing his hamstring tweak. They're probably being very cautious with it, considering it's OTAs, not yet, rookie OTAs and stuff like that. It's not even training camp yet. So they're definitely going to be keeping an eye on that and letting it just kind of happen as it does. Thank you for the question, Oscar. Hey guys, just coming through to say hi and love watching you guys and Cole and talk about how those Chiefs. Sorry, I'm having a problem. I'm pulling a Ryan right now. I can't read a question. Just wanted to say hi and love watching you guys. And Cole from How About Those Chiefs. He even gave you a shout out. Oh, that's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Thanks, Oscar. Glad to have you in. Thank you for the question, Chief in the clutch. Dan and Ryan, hope all is well. My question is, do the Chiefs add another pass rusher after extending Orlando Brown? Really hard to know. I think that they're going to be keeping their eyes on the defensive market. They're going to have to see what's going on, people that are going to get released in this post June 1st wave, things like that, after OTAs and training camp cuts, stuff like that. I think that they will have to add somebody, but it's probably going to be more of a depth move than someone they're looking to be a starter. All right, Whiskey Bravo, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you. Always good listening to you guys chat Chiefs and the game as a whole. Thanks for all the work. Thank you very much for your support. Appreciate the consistent support from everybody here. Always great having everybody in here every single week so we can answer your questions. Thank you, Whiskey Bravo. Do you think they tried Jones on the edge again, Quentin? Quentin, thank you for the question. And I think that experiment is long past. So I'm hoping that that's a no. I say no. I would imagine Ryan thinks the same. All right, Digital Viper, what excites you most about our defense? Is there hope for top 15? I don't think there's any hope for top 15, but what excites me most is the youth and the speed and the aggression. I think that you're going to see a lot of effort, a lot of physicality and speed downhill, because I don't think Karlaftis is the fastest dude. I don't think that Brian Cook is the fastest dude, but they can get downhill and they can hit. They want to get downhill and they want to hit people. So I'm excited to see the physicality and the whole nature of the defense get a little bit more physical. I really am hoping that does happen. Thank you for the super chat, David Bell. If you've got a question, please feel free to ask it. Tatum, what's going on, man? What do you think about Herring? I think he could be a wild card if he manages to progress in training camp. Yeah, it's a tough question because it's hard to know anything about him outside of Georgia. He was probably going to be a day 2 pick, and then you have the pretty severe injury. It took him out completely through the draft process, through last year completely. I know he's training well, he's rehabbing, and he's going to be a bigger defensive end, probably around 270, 275-ish. So going to be more of a speed guy. I'm not sure, honestly. I'm hoping that he can be a contributor. Obviously, you want Kando, you want Dana, you want Herring to be contributors, because with the way that they've addressed defensive end, that's what they need. They need guys that are going to step in to be contributors. So yeah, he's definitely a wild card, and I'm hoping to see him come in training camp and just kind of be a big surprise for everybody. Thanks again, Tatum. Daryl Crockett, thank you for the question. Why was there so much Darwin Thompson love from fans and none for Pacheco? Doesn't Pacheco have the higher ceiling? Ceilings for guys that are UDFAs and lower 7th round, 6th round picks are hard to tell. People love the way that Darwin Thompson ran the ball because he ran hard and he was a smaller guy. They really liked the fact that he gave a lot of effort. He had some talent, some twitch, and so he showed some bursts down the road too. So he was able to showcase his ability a little bit more. Pacheco is the really true breakaway home run threat. His speed is what makes him extremely enticing as a prospect. The vision, those are things that Darwin Thompson had it wasn't great, but it wasn't as bad as Pachenko. So if you can fix the vision, yeah, you can theoretically say that his ceiling is a little bit higher. But it's really hard to know because, again, 7th round pick in Rutgers, not the best offensive situation. So getting him in an offense here, hey, look, Ryan's back. All right, so I just answered Daryl Crockett's question. I was going through the starred stuff and going through them. So
I like it. Folks, that's what happens when lightning goes off very, very close to the house. Disrupts everything. I am on my backup internet connection rather than my standard one, so it may look absolutely terrible. I have no idea.
You look good to me.
Okay, cool. Who is your favorite Stranger Things character? Mine is Max, but Hopper, Elle, Nancy, and Steve are awesome. Do you have a favorite?
Yeah, so I'm just gonna let you know I answered all these questions. I did, and Hopper is my favorite question. I went all the way down to Daryl Crockett's first one after Tatum. So if you want to scan through and see if you have anything that you want to,
you're rocking it. Okay,
I want to say I figured I just keep going since you already had them lined up.
You're rocking it. I'm not sure how far that is. Did you get Whiskey Bravos? Thank you, Whiskey.
I did.
Okay, rock and roll. My favorite, by the way, is Hopper.
Yep, mine too.
He's misunderstood.
If you go to David Bell's super chat, I answered 2 questions after that.
Okay, rock and roll. Thank you, David. Appreciate you guys. And you got Daryl. Okay, there's Daryl's. Okay, so Sexy's next. What's up, Sexy? Which defense in the AFC West do you expect to give us the most trouble this year?
A healthy Chargers defense will give them the most trouble. But
that's the thing, right? That's the thing.
Do you know?
Is Khalil really Khalil? Is he back to what he was with the Raiders? I don't know. If it is, that's probably the best pass rush, which will challenge the Chiefs on the right-hand side. But Bosa and him will be arguing like who gets to line up on the left-hand side of their defense to against the right tackle, right? So there's a lot to that. I will say this. I don't think the Broncos are going to be as good without Vaughn, but I don't think you can blow them off either. Like they still have the core of what should be a functionally good defense. It's just obviously things are going to be different. It's about how do they deploy them? Can they do that well? And there's Max Crosby in Las Vegas.
Yeah, well, Max Crosby is a really good. I'm super impressed. He's still not 25 yet. Like I didn't realize that. He's really young.
Don't even start. He's half my age. Okay, front 4 wide receivers. Right. Is that your take? Is it a fight for the remaining spots? That's exactly it, David.
That's what we think.
And honestly, right now, it's a fight for 5. Fountain's there. Someone has to wrestle it away from Fountain because he plays teams. And he plays teams for this team. Now, I know Watson played some special teams in Tampa Bay, but he hasn't played for Dave Tope. So clearly Fountain has the lead there.
I agree.
But so it really is, who's going to be the 5th receiver? Oh, man. Just tuning in. How you guys doing? Wondering if you guys think that the wide receiver core ranks among the league. Oh, it's I'd love to take a stab at that, but I really can't. Can you?
No, there's too many unknowns. There's one guy that we know about in Kansas City, and it's McCall Hardman, and you wouldn't really put him up against a lot of other people because he's been very underwhelming to this point. So you have retread guys, in my opinion, who in MVS and Juju Smith-Schuster, both guys didn't ever have great seasons the last couple of years. Juju's been trying to get back to his former glory. We don't know if he's ever going to get there. MVS has never been a standout guy. So you have a lot of unknown. It's a lot.
It is. And I think that if they're a top 10 unit, I think that's good. The question is, how are you going to do that? If Mahomes is throwing for 4,000 yards and 30 plus touchdowns, you have to consider them one of the top 10 pretty much. So it's about how do all those pieces come together, knowing that you're all built around Travis Kelce. So there's a lot of questions there, but I would think talent-wise, they should be in the top half of the league pretty easily, I feel.
Yeah.
And I think they can put Big Chief Sean. How are you? When it comes to Brown, how much would be highest paid? It is Trent Williams at 23.2, I want to say.
Sounds about right.
I can check that. But yeah, the highest paid left tackle is up there. It's 23-ish, 24-ish a year. And I can't get any of my other websites. I'm just lucky this is running right now.
Yeah, right?
Hey, Dan will look that one up. But Sean, that's on average. I do believe that Trent's contract spikes next year into the 30s of millions. So it's not even really a true 5-year for him either. It's going to be a renegotiate at some point.
Yeah, so he's got a 20. His cap hit this year is 13 million. Then next year is 26. After that, it's 26, 29, 33. So
Gotcha.
there is, and it goes to 2026.
Yeah. Yeah, that's yeah.
Oh, man.
At what, 31 years old at that point?
He's 33 right now.
Oh, good Lord. He's older than that. Okay.
He's 33 right now.
I mean, he's not as old as me, but hey, nobody is. Steve.
Oh, we may have lost Ryan again.
I think that's really unfair to George to compare him to that. Nick Bosa, like Myles Garrett, are power players that can bend. George doesn't show that. George is a power player, period. I think if he can improve his hand usage and really develop a rip, I think he's explosive enough to get to the outside shoulder to make that work. But to call him Bosa, I think is putting a false expectation on him himself.
Yeah, the Bosa brothers are different. Much like the Watt brothers, they're different. Those guys are in their own categories, and you really shouldn't try to compare or just say discount versions because they're different athletic players and profiles. Karlaftis would be a Ryan Kerrigan type of player. That's what you're looking at. Like, if you want to give a discount basis on what we know about the said player and what rookie is, I think Ryan Kerrigan, discount Ryan Kerrigan makes more sense, or discount maybe not so much. Never mind about that. But Kerrigan probably makes more sense.
Well, I'll tell you this. I like the idea of bringing in Kerrigan.
I agree. I think that there's a lot of, I think that would benefit him. Yeah. Honestly, he's the best comp to him.
Yeah, it's the closest thing to how do you be a professional athlete that works in this league. Like, he could literally walk him through the process, and I think that would be helpful.
I agree.
His effort, his determination, it very much seems from what Spag said last week, his love of the game, like his interest in always improving is there. So it's not about motivation. It's not about dedication. It's about how do you make the most of what your natural talents are, and how do you limit your limitations. And I think Kerrigan would be a great signing for him just as a mentor.
Yeah.
Aaron Donald at 31.7 per year. Any advanced draft prospects that KC could potentially go get to replace Jones? Oof. I mean, there's 2 D linemen in my top 16, if I remember correctly, who have been, if you aren't subbed to NFL33.com, that's our new Substack. Dan, EJ is going to be on there. A bunch of our draft guys are going to help. I put out my top 16 for next year, and that's just based off of last year's film, obviously. But the kid Breesy from LSU's on there. There's another interior defensive lineman. None of them are going to touch Aaron Donald. No, I don't project any of them to even be Chris Jones, to tell you the truth. But I will say this: I didn't project Chris Jones to be Chris Jones coming out.
Exactly.
So there is upside that you need to look for as well. And unfortunately, the defensive line group got picked over pretty well this year. And outside of Jalen Carter, that's the other one. It's Jalen Carter, who I think is hands down the best defensive lineman in college football. I don't see him coming out and being better than Chris Jones right now. I mean, next year as a rookie, I don't see him being better than Chris Jones. Could he eventually get there? Yes. But there is no Aaron Donald coming down the pike, as much as I'd like one, Whiskey.
Nope.
Chad, thank you very much. Appreciate your support as always, buddy. Is there any information about Frank's court date, or has it already happened? Hoping if he's suspended next year, he'll likely be gone. I want to say it's October. That's what's in my head. That might have been the original. I don't remember where. Yeah, I'd have to look. I don't know if I can get another browser window to open, but they do keep pushing it back.
I'll do
it. It was the original date. It is set for. No, it's not. I have nothing. Dan, check that. Yes, I mean, if he's suspended for a year, unfortunately, you can recoup some of that bonus, but that's about it. Salary's guaranteed, as I understand, in his contract. But yeah, that would be the end. Honestly, the end is near. The great thing about the way that they did this, they couldn't save any money, so they kept him. And now Frank knows he's going. So the best thing for Frank is to play his butt off and have the best year of his career so they can go somewhere else and get a contract. So that motivation is the best thing going for the Chiefs and what you might see from Frank Clark this season. Anything?
I only have a January 17th, 2022. After that, there's nothing. So maybe it was dismissed.
Maybe it was. I don't know, man. I got nothing.
All I know is that he's not going to be in Kansas City after this year. That's it.
And I hope that he plays like it. I hope that he plays like it, and he needs to get paid. So there you go. If it already happened, Frank or Chad, maybe Frank's in the clear. I don't know. I'll try to research that here in the next day or two and let you guys know. Oh shoot, it's gonna be Dan and Seth on Thursday night because my wife's out of town and there's something I cannot get out of. Tell you all about it later. So I'll research before then, and I'll try to put it up. Been moving a 2-year-old daughter into a new place all week. Oh, Ryan, I get it. That sucks. It's definitely a challenge this time of year, and we had a deal fall through, so we're looking for a backup. Like there's all kinds of stuff going on.
And he may have just
except my truck's in the shop now too. So yeah, there's all kinds of stuff going on.
Man, you're just hitting the fan.
When it rains, it pours. Thank you, Ryan. I did not find it, but I did see a clip of him at Tyreek's thing over the weekend. And I have to agree with you guys. And I was looking to see if maybe it was television production squeezing the picture vertically or something. But he does look a little light to me. I'm
very certain that picture that we've seen around is photoshopped. Like I'm very certain of it.
Okay. Then I'm glad because I saw a video that looked very sketchy and I didn't want to base anything on that, but yeah, that's all right. You know, well, I think it's interesting that everybody wants to tweak Chiefs fans, including Tyreek. You know, like why you want to stir up the nest? It's just silly. Finn, hope you're doing well. How worried will you be if we start the season the same as last year?
They've done it before. I won't be worried at all.
Yeah, I won't be surprised. I will not be patient. I will tell you that, but I don't think I don't think I'll be worried.
Start calling for Steve Spagnuolo's job again.
Tex was at both the Bengals games last year. Well, that's awesome. Those are some great games to watch. If they just came out on the top end, if it would have been better, but, you know.
So I think we have a reasonable explanation as to something we should ask Tex. Mm-hmm. Do you feel responsible for
don't put it on him?
I'm just kidding, man. I'm just kidding.
It was the hard hat. I'm telling you, it is what it is. Guys get nervous around the hard hat. No. I don't know what was going on other than the fact that they like to call what they called in specific situations. There's also the fact that the Bengals had another game in the playoff run where they let Burrow get sacked like 9 times and still won. And the Chiefs weren't able to even generate half that pressure. So there's enough blame to go around. But yeah, there were certainly some questions in there, Tex. Daryl, does Pacheco have a future RB1 potential?
No.
I don't see it. I do like him as like a tough number 2, though. Like you got to have it. The league is a committee now. Mm-hmm. Nobody's going to have a bell cow. So I do like that.
I think he's a perfect change of pace back if he can fix his vision. I think he's perfect.
And he wasn't like a number 1 in college, was he? If I remember correctly.
They used a lot of running backs at Rutgers, but Rutgers is a terrible offense to even try to watch to see that he's doing what he's supposed to be doing. He was like, I have opportunities to make plays and I'm going to kick this outside whenever I can.
Right. If I see daylight, I'm gone.
I'm gone.
Okay. That's cool. Miss Liz, thank you for getting Ed's question in there. Do you see any particular receiver separating themselves from the other ones on the roster and become a Mahomes go-to target outside of Kelsey? Does McCole take the next step? Ooh, that's the big question. You think McCole gets it done?
I think he's going to lead the Chiefs receivers in yards. I think he will this year. That's based on him having the most experience in the system. And I think that they're going to use him as the Z. Mm-hmm. I think that you can get the best out of him if he's the Z receiver. I do believe that. We'll see. Maybe I honestly want him to put about 10 pounds of muscle on too, because that would benefit him the most out of anything, but probably not going to happen. But I do think he can. The guy that probably becomes the safety valve is going to be Juju. I think that's going to be pretty.
I was going to say, I see him as the tough yardage kind of guy, the red zone kind of guy. Like I could see McCole leading in yardage, but I think he's going to probably have more touchdowns is my thought for Juju.
Yeah, I can see that. Let's go.
Thank you, Liz.
Let's go, Doug.
Okay. Doug's on it. Powell jersey. Okay. Both of them will be in Dan's possession.
Oh, that's so sad.
Ryan, which linebacker will have the most sacks this year? Chanel. It's not close. I think they're going to blitz him. I think they're going to give him opportunities off the edge. I think at the end of the day, he's a ravenous dog. He's a Rottweiler. They're just going to turn loose, and I am here for it. The question is going to be, our team's going to learn to scheme around it and put him in positions where he can't move forward and he has to move backward, because that's going to be a transition for him. I actually think he's athletic enough to become a guy that can drop well with some experience. It's going to take a season or two, he just hasn't been asked to do it. So, but yeah, if they get really blitz happy, I could see it being Willie, because I think they want Nick to stay back a little bit more and have vision. I think that's important to Spags. So we'll see. I haven't been able to watch the Cully and the daily pressers from last week, and I'll watch those and try to pick up a couple of pieces here. Steve, Spags has admitted that he called the defense differently whenever Mahomes was out with injury. Why does he do this, and is it wise to do so? It's because, in my opinion, Mahomes is a security blanket for Spags too. He feels he can take more chances. He can try to force more big plays, interceptions, whatever, by doing crazy things, doing his things that have worked a lot of times in mixing things up and doing things unexpected. But when you don't have Mahomes to lean on, and if you take those chances and you give up 14 points, do you have a quarterback that's going to be able to bring you back from that? That becomes the question, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's just like offenses. When you have a quarterback like Mahomes, you take more chances down the field. You can get away with it because he can go get you that bucket whenever you need him to. Or like Tyreek Hill, he could always go get you that first down. You can kind of play it a little bit riskier. But if you have a Matt Moore, if you have a Ryan Tannehill, you need a run game. You need to be a bit more balanced of an offense to be able to create big plays. With Patrick Mahomes, you always have that. And Spags, much like Patrick, he has the big plays. He has the confusing quarterback, rotating safeties and getting guys to come up to the, he has all that in the back pocket, and he's never really gotten to use it a whole lot. Eli Manning's been the quarterback he's been defending on the opposite side of his team for the most of his career. So he's gotten an ability to do this before. So he's trying to get creative too and see what he can do.
Yeah, and I like that. You just have to have the guys that can take advantage of it. And it's maybe this lets some of those guys go do that. I hope that Legarius has a bounce back year where he can become that guy that forces the ball. And folks, if you would listen to Super Devil Juice, he's got a good idea. You should hit that bell. That'd be great. As things are going off and coming back online now, all kinds of craziness here. Ryan, which DB will have the most PBUs and which will have the most interceptions this year? PBUs is going to be Snead. I have a feeling that INTs might be Reed. I think he was used too much in the box in Houston, and I think he's got a knack for playing deep.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Spags, I think Cook gives them the blanket to do whatever they want with Reed and put him wherever they want, because I think Cook can play up tight. I think they're okay with Thornhill deep. Maybe they don't love it, but I think they're okay with it. And so did you, like, one of those practice INTs, the first guy over there clapping him up was Juan Thornhill. So
that duo is going to be fun. I think
so.
They're going to get each other up because they can do similar things to each other. That as much as I loved Juan Thornhill and Tyrann Mathieu, their skill sets are pretty different. And I'm excited about that. But I actually think Juan's going to be the guy to lead interceptions this year. I think they're going to use him more as a robber type, and he can come down and get some of those interceptions, not necessarily always be a deep guy. But I do think it's going to be Snead with the PBUs. He's just got the body type for it. I don't think that Fenton's going to do it. Don't think that McDuffie's going to do it with his shorter arms. So I'm excited about that, though.
I'd love to see McDuffie be in that top couple of 2 or 3 for PBUs, though, because I think he's smart enough to do it.
Ball.
And I'm pretty sure Fenton will lead in penalties. So there you go.
Always.
Who takes last place in this division? I still think it's the Raiders because their secondary is awful. It's certainly challenged, and they want to run, but it's McMinney. And let's be real. If they see McMinney again, the guy that was in Denver, it's all over. If Coach McDaniel shows up, they have a fighting chance.
Just look at the top down. Like, look at their quarterback. Look at their head coach. And I know that Hackett's a brand new head coach. So there's something to figure out there between those two. But you have just look at quarterbacks: Mahomes, Herbert, Wilson. And you got Derek Carr. I'm a supporter of Derek Carr. I actually think Derek Carr is a very good NFL quarterback, and he gets a lot of hate that he doesn't deserve. But he's not. He's the fourth best quarterback in this division. He is, and they have the worst defense in this division. That doesn't lead to being a third, second, first place team. It leads you to being in the cellar with a team with a division that's that good.
Yeah, I would put Carr in the top 16, top half of the league in terms of starting quarterbacks, and he's still
Easily,
the
in
worst
my
in this
opinion.
division. So that says a lot. Harlan, thank you for the question. I was really buying into the new D-line coach was selling last week. That's Cullen. I can't wait to see what he does with everyone named Chris, not named Chris Jones. Also, Willie Gay will be team MVP on the defense. I like that, Harlan. And Cullen is really interesting because I think they could throw some 3-man front looks, like a 3-4 shell.
Yeah.
And then you have guys that are more outside linebacker types that you can send. Long shot to make this roster, Shalik Calhoun, a guy that has been played out of place since he was drafted, who was an outside linebacker in college, and then they've tried to make him a defensive end. He needs to stand up. He's 30 years old. This is his last chance. Yep. If they can get something out of him, it might be Cullen that needs to turn the corner. And I'm with you, Harlan. I like what we're going to see from them, and it's about rotating around. Chris Jones is the center of the universe on that front, right? So how do you make the most of it by rotating around him?
I like it.
What's up, my guy? Tell me about Powell. Will he be any good? And I love the hair, Rocker.
What's up, Rocker? Last year, I was talking him up as a possible Sammy Watkins type of player. That's unfortunately not within his range of outcomes. And I will admit, I let his 6 games as Trevor Lawrence's trusted player get the better of me. He is a Byron Pringle arc type of player. Okay? If he can be Byron Pringle, run block, make an explosive play every now and then, because we forget he is a 4.47 runner. Like, he's still a fast guy. Be in the right place at the right time, catch the football, be Byron Pringle.
Yeah,
and you can make the roster. You can be an impactful player. You can be a chain mover. Just be a worker. And I personally think that Powell is a worker, and I think that pays dividends. So that's what I think he can be.
I think that's what his arc showed at Clemson, to tell you the truth. He worked his way through, he sustained, and then when everybody else was gone and Justin got hurt, he was there to pick up the pieces and he performed. So I agree with you. I like that.
Performed so well.
And by the way, folks, watch out for Byron Pringle, because what's the best thing that Byron does? He reacts to pressure from his quarterback and moves the ball, and Fields is going to be running for his life all over again. I really like if they can put that connection together. I think Pringle can make something of himself in Chicago.
I hope so badly.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to click off at Daryl's. If you guys were GM, would Michelle make the 53, Dan?
No,
I wouldn't do it either. I mean, if Chad were to get hurt, sure, but there's no reason to carry 3 quarterbacks on this
Agreed.
team. And Quanta, honestly, with all the DBs, the lack of ends, so you want to keep a couple extras in case. Like, I think you need every roster spot you can get. But right back to the Patrick squad, and I think he'll be the guy that gets called up if Henny has to start. Makes sense. Daryl, thank you for the support. Okay, you guys are going to be Brown's agent. What are you going to tell him right now? The number 5 is available. You could be the 5th highest paid left tackle in this league right now today. Sign on the dotted line. And then we'll see what happens. That's what I would do. Because I think Orlando has shown you enough in his first season in what was an offensive scheme that is greatly different from what he played before, that he was able to adapt. And I think that that's going to be okay. I think that he makes a step forward. I haven't seen him yet. When we see him, if he's trim, if he looks like he's in better shape, I hope that he'll be able to do some of that.
Okay.
I know. Did you miss me? It's okay.
She's a little upset.
I'm sorry. It's all right, though. You look great. Show business, what it's about, kid. You're doing great.
Yeah, so I'm telling Alina Brown that you're probably not going to get what you want because you haven't ever played like it. You're going to need to be a little bit more lenient on your number, and then you're going to have to ball out.
Yeah. If I'm his agent, I'm saying hold tight, hold out for that 4th year. I think in the end, I think the compensation will probably work itself out. It'll be about the number of years on the contract, in my opinion. Big Chief Sean, you guys make sure you go sub to his channel as well. You can search it right there, Big Chief Sean. Is there a game this season that you think will be an easy game? An easy game. I don't remember those, buddy.
Both
Let
Raider
me
games were
see.
last year.
Both Raiders were? Okay, well, the year before that, they did circles around the stadium. That pisses me off, so I'm not going to go there. Let me look real quick because I don't recall one. The easiest thing that I saw, I think the Jaguars are improved. They would have been one of the candidates. I think the easiest game on the schedule right now is the Commanders. Oh, but that's a preseason game, so it doesn't matter anyway. So I don't know, man. It's going to be tough. Pack and let's see. So we start with the Cardinals, Chargers, Colts are edge of a playoff team. Bucks,
they play
obviously.
Seahawks, right?
They do.
Yeah, that's going to be an easy game.
I think that's going to be easy.
Game. Yep.
Okay.
It's going to be Drew Lock, Geno Smith throwing the football.
Yeah.
Their defense is still not good. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. You talked me into it. Sold. See, this is why Dan's here, to make me make sense. I like it. You have more faith in Jalen Watson or Najee Johnson? Who has more potential? It's a tough one.
Like, I wasn't even able to watch these guys. I don't have any film on them. I've got no idea. I have a basic skill set, and I have no clue.
I got one game of Najee. I got 4 games of Jalen. Jalen, to me, is a slightly miniature version of Lonnie Johnson, who's a slightly miniature version of Bashad Breeland, who's a slightly miniature version of Sean Smith. They're all the long, tall, strong, physical corners that have susceptibility deep if they let guys off the line of scrimmage and let them use speed. Najee is a guy that, on the one thing that I got to see of him, has great change of direction. He has good speed. He's undersized, and his arm length is borderline. I just don't know at the level of competition. I think Jalen coming out of the Pac-12, I think that gives him an edge. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to say I have a little bit more faith in Watson than I do Najee.
All right.
But upside could be upside. As I understand, Najee has some return potential as well. I wasn't able to see any of that. So it could work out that way. Don, not cheese related, but predict what Herbert Burrow extensions look like. Oof. Herbert's next year, right? And Burrow's 2 years after is the year after that, right?
No, they were drafted the same year.
Oh, they were, weren't they?
Yeah.
Oh, so I should know that. They were my top quarterbacks.
Yeah. After this year, they'll be eligible for their first contract extension because it'll be after their 3rd year, correct? That's when Mahomes got his contract.
After the 3rd season.
So after this season, they're both up. So what did Josh Allen get?
Oof. You're killing me. Josh Allen got a bunch of crap from Tom Brady, and I think Tom Brady deserves to get called out about it. I'm just saying.
Okay, so Josh Allen signed a 6-year, $258 million contract.
6-year, $258?
Almost $43 million per season. So let's say Joe Burrow has a down year, because I do think he's going to. I don't think he's going to have the success he had last year. I don't believe that's going to happen.
Okay.
I think Herbert has relatively the same season he had last year because physically, that's the guy that I think he is. Okay. I would say you're going to see a 5-year contract for both guys. Probably around the $190 to $200 million for both. I think they're both going to be around 5 years, $190 to $200 million.
Wow.
That's what I'm going to say right now because I'm, 1, inexperienced with contracts, and 2, trying to just kind of throw a number out there that I think is reasonable for the expanding market.
I think it's all to who gets to play Patrick in a championship game. And if Patrick doesn't make it to a championship game, I think that's the yardstick they're all getting compared against right now, the younger generation. It is right now that Patrick beat Josh. That's not what it should be. Teams beat teams. Correct. Quarterbacks don't beat each other.
No, they never play.
But that's what's going to come down to. And right now, Burrow has it over Mahomes, so you can make an argument there. Herbert's looked good playing the Chiefs, but hasn't really gotten that done enough. So for me, it's about, can the Chargers put together, make a playoff run, and get to a championship game? If they can do that, then I think they're even with Burrow. I think the Bengals regress as well. I think they're still a playoff team, but I don't think they make the championship game again. So I think it could be very close. But right now, I'm going to say the Burrow gets probably 10 guaranteed more and probably 5 APY more when they get their extensions in. Is that 200 million? I don't know.
Find out.
It could easily be.
And Lamar's is going to throw another in this too whenever he gets his extension, if he gets it.
Yeah. Lamar, get an agent. Just get an agent.
Just do it.
Hey, Orlando's got one. I'm sure he'd love another client. Let somebody negotiate for you, even if he's a rookie. Gooch, welcome back. Thanks for the support. Powell and Fountain. You know what you're right. Me and
I'm going down swinging. Going down swinging. I will adjust my analysis, but he's my guy. He's making the roster.
Hey, that is all right. Faith is faith. Got to go with what you see. Opinion about the tight end room. This intriguing, or is it just Kelsey? I'm really interested in your thoughts because my thoughts, folks, are coming out tomorrow.
Ooh, interesting. That's nice.
I'll tell you what it is.
So it's semi-interesting and kind of disappointing. Outside of two guys, you have Travis Kelce, and I think that Fortson can make an impact. I don't think Blake Bell, and I don't think that Noah Gray are going to do very much at all. Offensively, blocking, we know Blake Bell will do that. But I think Noah Gray's done. I think he's done.
I'm going to tell you this. If Matt Bushman can take a snap, he beats Blake Bell out. I'm telling you. Matt Bushman's a better tight end, in my opinion. I like him. He's the reason Zach Wilson got what he got. And Zach Wilson's a whole different story. We can talk about this somewhere else. Matt Bushman kept that offense moving. And I think his injury at the end of his senior season was a terrible spot for him. He's an older prospect. He didn't get much of a run. I think he could beat out Blake Bell. But I will give you my opinion tomorrow. I've already recorded it. And I will say this. The guy that's on the cover, it'll probably pop up for you guys tonight, has maybe the most valuable role in this offense who isn't a starter. It's Jody.
It's Jody, baby.
I'll
Let's
tell
go.
you all about it tomorrow. No spoilers for Stranger Things. Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay. I just characters, Liz. Just characters. It's all good.
I haven't even seen it, so I can't give spoilers.
Please ask them how the Bentonville Broncos sounds. Yeah. Hey, I don't know what that does, but if Walmart has an open position for somebody in the front office, I'll probably apply. I'll just let you know. If you can do that at Walmart.com, let me know. Folks, it looks like the Walmart Air family is going to buy the Broncos.
Their bid is $4.5 billion. So, yeah. With the B.
Dang. I'd just take a illion at this point. Jonah, thank you for the support. Appreciate you. Which rookie are you most excited for? For me, it's McDuffie. Dan, who are you most excited for?
It's Leo Chanel. Death row. It is death row. That dude is going to hit somebody into tomorrow, and I will never stop talking about it. It's going to be like preseason week 1. He's going to lay somebody out, and I'm just going to fly off the rails.
I like it. I'm most excited about Cook. I like Cook's game. He reminds me, and it's funny because everybody forgets about James Hasty, right? Hasty was a great corner. I think he made All-Pro twice. Mm-hmm. He's definitely a Pro Bowler a lot. He helped the 90s Chiefs do what they did. But in a pinch, they would slide him into safety too. And I think Cook has the speed to play outside, but I love him in his role. He's nasty. I mean, he reminds me. I wrote it in my notes twice, 2 different ball games. I was like, he does some things that remind me of Hasty. So I'm pretty excited about him. I'm a big Husky fan though. I went to high school in Seattle, for those of you who don't know. So UW football is always on my radar, especially when Jimmy Lake was coaching there. So I'm excited for McDuffie as well. Thank you, Jonah. And thank you, Tom. What incentives would you put on OBJ's contract, Orlando Browns Jr., that would make him become a better player and benefit the Chiefs without breaking the bank? Incentives for a tackler are difficult. You can certainly, they have thresholds for sacks given up, but that's difficult as well. I personally would make it about pressures and period, because A, you need him out there all the time, and B, he's got to move his feet better. If he can just incrementally improve his footwork and honestly just his foot speed, because he knows where to put his feet. He knows how to use them.
Yeah.
I think that would definitely help. We are way long because of the power outage, so we're going to hop through these, you guys. I think Big Too Strong was asking a question. How much money for top of it? Yep, got that one. Thank you, Matt. Another one from Tom. Rookie class being a quality group with high character individual. Any of them that you can prospect to be an NFL Women's Player of the
Man of
Month?
the Year.
Oh, right. Too early to say. A very good question. It is way too early to say because part of that is setting up foundations and making contacts. And the team's got to help everybody with that because they're all new to the Kansas City area, right? So we'll know when some of that gets established. But I
would say Karlaftis. The guy reminds me of just a big teddy bear. Like outside of playing football, I think that he might be someone like that. So that's what I would say.
I was very encouraged. If you guys didn't get a chance to see it, go watch the Spags conference from last week, where he talks about the Zoom and Karlaftis didn't want to get off the Zoom with him because he wanted to keep talking about like that. That seems like the kind of dude that you want around, and maybe he has the outreach there because of that. That would be great. Tex, who's the best 50-50 ball receiver we have? And with Mahomes, how important is that quality? Ooh, the best 50-50. Because I don't really give MVS a lot of credit for that.
No, because he's been bad throughout most of his career. Do I have to say it?
I think you do.
I think it's Sky Moore. I think he's going to be the best 50-50 guy. He's smaller, and he doesn't have that vertical, but he catches the ball through contact better than anybody on this team outside of Travis Kelce. And Jody. I think Jody is a different animal, but receiver-wise, I think it's Sky Moore.
Wow.
But if Justin Ross makes the roster, it probably is him. But I know that Sky Moore is going to, so I would side with that guy that I know is going to be on the roster.
Fair enough. I can't really argue with it. I was thinking Ross too, but it is a question. If Hardman does lead the league, the Chiefs in receiving yards, do either of you see him being in Kansas City in 2023?
Yes.
I don't.
If he leads them in yards, he 1,000% will be in Kansas City next year.
Okay. Is McDuffie just going to be a solid CB, or do we expect him to be a top CB1? That's difficult to project. I feel like he can be a CB1, but a lot of that is deterrence. They didn't throw at him as much. They threw across the field to him. And Dan is illustrating the question.
This is it. Right here. If he can overcome this, right here, he's got the 29-inch arms. Those kind of corners typically don't get to that true CB1 level because they have trouble around the ball. McDuffie doesn't really have the same problems there because he's so instinctual and intelligent and he sees things happening, and my dog will not stop barking. But I think he has the ability to overcome it. Will he? Gotta wait and find out.
I think that he will definitely overcome that. Does that mean that he becomes that quintessential? I don't know.
I think that if he can overcome the arm length problem at the catch point, yes, I think he will be a unquestionable cornerback one in this defense.
Cool. I'm down with that. Does Sky Moore have yak ability? I hear some people say he does and others say he doesn't. I'm not sure who said he doesn't. That's interesting.
Well, it's difficult. It's different. It's not. So when you think yak, Chiefs fans, when you think yak, you think Tyreek Hill. Okay. And most people think twitch and think getting out of making missed tackles, like forcing missed tackles and not maybe running through guys. I think Sky is not that level of athlete. I don't think he's as good after the catch as a lot of people were propping him up as. I think that he's a much tougher runner after the catch. He's going to more break tackles than he is going to make you miss in the open field. That seems to be more his game, but I don't know. Maybe he's different than he was at college. It's going to be difficult for me to tell, but my impression of him coming out was that he's more of a run through some contact here and there instead of make you miss in the open field.
Yeah. Either way, as long as that first tackler misses, he's going to be in business, and that's going to be yak, so I'm down. Tex, how much does the Gruden lawsuit affect the Raiders in the NFL this year? It affects the NFL in that they're going to try to hush it down. It affects Mark Davis because he's going to be named in some of it and letting some things slide. I just don't think, because they basically wholesale changed everything, the head coach, the GM, like the offensive coordinator, I just don't think the day-to-day is going to involve them as much unless it gets to the point where we find something else out about Gruden's behavior towards his players specifically. And then if the players get dragged into it, it can become a distraction, I think. Hopefully not. Nobody deserves to be that kind of distracted at work, in my opinion. Any practice squad players from last year that have a chance to break out? One comes to mind for me. Do you have any, Dan?
Boodle is the guy that I think has a chance to break out.
Yep.
He looked the best and plays safety and corner, multifaceted kind of guy. So he's got the easiest route to breaking out. Also, he looked pretty good, in my opinion, down the stretch.
Yeah, I agree. I think DeAndre Baker is in kind of a fight for a spot with him, to tell you the truth. He was exactly who I was going to name. Sexy. Which third-year D lineman do you think has a better chance of breaking out this year, Dana or Turk? Turk.
I'm going to say Dana.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's
fair.
I'm putting more faith in Cullen to get more out of him, because the way that the defensive end room looks right now, they need someone to step up. And I think that it could be Mike Dana.
Fair enough. Julian, welcome back. If Spags decides to leave, who would you personally like to the next DC to be? And what would you guys prefer to stay in, 3-4 or 4-3 or both? I mean, you got to be a hybrid of both no matter what, but you want to have a base bread and butter, right? What do you got?
Yeah, I don't even know I know who you're going to say. I can tell you already look like you have the answer in your head. You just said it multiple different times already. So I think I know where you're going, and I'm going to say no thank you. But I don't have a list of like defensive coordinators that come to mind. I know that we had a couple last year that we knew were going to get fired, but I don't have that like list readily available in my mind. So I'll defer to Ryan, even though I know the answer.
I mean, you got to. And if you guys, if you're not in a draft talk all year, don't worry about it. But go back and listen to Friday's NFL draft show from Locked On. Me and Croc just went off the rails. And what you don't know about Croc is that Croc was in the room. He was a rookie with the Jets when Rex had his "let's go get a snack" speech. And Croc will tell you he would play for Rex today. He would run through a wall for Rex today. And that's the kind of thing you can't grow on trees. Is he crazy? Yes. Rex, the announcer, is nuts. But I still think he can set up a defense that takes the piss out of any offense. Is it effective enough? I think with Mahomes, yes. But behind him, do you try to pull somebody else out of retirement? I think I probably go after somebody younger. Not a Bradley retread or something like that. So if it's not Rex on this roster, it's likely Cullen, in my opinion, because he's been a DC. And I think he would probably shift to a 3-4 as a base, but he runs 4-3 as well. And you'll mix it around. So do you have a coordinator you like?
I would look for someone in the Staley tree, because I really identify with the way that Brandon Staley runs his defense. Unfortunately, you need a true two-gapping nose tackle to really pull it off, to be successful. But when you have it, oh boy, it works really, really well.
Maybe you can steal one from Philly. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
Tommy Sage, Tommy Sage. Sorry. Thank you for the support, Tommy. I hear Herbert predicted an MVP a lot, but I think Russ is a better dark horse. That's fair. I mean, I don't know. I have an axe to grind with Keenan Allen, so I can't really be unbiased, but yeah.
See, I'm a huge, if you guys don't know, I also am a fantasy football analyst. So when I get to break down Keenan Allen, I have a huge appreciation for Keenan Allen's game. So I just try to ignore everything else and just watch him as the player. And I do think that Herbert has an excellent chance, but Russ, with the weapons that he has, the offense that we assume they're going to run with Nathaniel Hackett as their head coach, much like we assume it's going to mirror some of what Aaron Rodgers did. And if Russell Wilson tries to mold his game after what Aaron Rodgers has done, become more of a pocket guy who can get out and run every now and then and doesn't have to be what he was in Seattle, then yes, I think that makes a lot of sense, because they can put up some numbers with the weapons that they have.
I like it. Settle dispute between me and Gooch. There are 6 players or so. If we cut, would leave us about $1 million in dead cap space and give us no savings. Does that sound like players with higher percent to make the roster? if you're not getting savings and the production or the performance you feel is about even, I think it would probably just come down to age, because I think they got to get younger in a hurry.
I agree with that 100%.
So, yeah, I would think that gives them probably more likely to stay on the roster unless one of the young guys like beats them out, Steve.
Yeah.
And we're going to wrap it up with Tom Flora. I know we're way over time. Thank you guys for your patience with the power and all that kind of stuff. So, Tom, thank you again. Saw Shane Squarlow from Lawrence High from Baker University last weekend, in case George Karlaftis' doppelganger, just saying. Okay. I got a buddy that coaches for Lawrence High, so I will ask him. Great job, Tom, and thank you for all of your support. Appreciate you very much. And thank you, Liz. If you guys would hit the like, make sure if you're not one of us already, get subbed and get that bell clicked. We'll be back with you later in the week. Dan's got tomorrow. I got something special for you tomorrow on Mr. Fortson. Don't miss it. Dan, I think you got to check out what the dog's doing.
I do, but this dog is I'm telling you right now, the blinds are open in my bedroom and she just barks at everything that passes by. So she's just probably seen another dog the other way.
Okay. Well, everyone have a great night. Thanks for being with us. We'll